May the Lord give you understanding.
As I was trying to study to come and do this teaching, I was just reading some scriptures and my heart was burning. Let me give you the definition I wrote of a priest. A priest a real priest, this is the way I put it. A real priest is one who is always in God's presence. That's a real priest. Not just a priest. A real priest lives perpetually in God's presence. Remember, why did they build the sanctuary? Why did they build the tabernacle in the wilderness? Who can help us? Why did they build the tabernacle in the wilderness? What necessitated the building of that tabernacle in the wilderness? What was on the heart of God? So that he can dwell amongst. He was looking for a dwelling place. The matter was the matter of perpetual presence. Perpetual presence. He said, take offerings of the people that they might build me a house that I may dwell amongst them. A real priest is one that lives perpetually in God's presence. This is why, if you attended the IEC and you see, let me leave it. 3 things struck my heart from that IEC, that if you've been around here, these are matters that we've been dealing with over time. It's not enough to have a prayer schedule. I've taught you before. Spiritual disciplines are good, but the end game of a spiritual discipline is not discipline itself. The end game of a spiritual discipline is spiritual reality. That discipline brings you into a place where you are doing business with the realm of God. Something real and tangible is affecting your life as a consequence of that discipline. So it's not enough to say I pray 3 hours. It's not enough to say I pray 4 hours. It's not enough to say I wake up every 12 o'clock and I pray for 1 hour. As beautiful and as necessary as discipline is, the goal for the priest is not just to be disciplined. The goal for the priest is to dwell perpetually in God's presence. So you are supposed to grow in your prayer enterprise to the place whereby anywhere you are, you have shifted from having a prayer life. You now have a life of prayer. So you don't need keyboard. You don't need anything to motivate you. You can be in keke and you're doing. You can switch between the realms seamlessly because it's not Okada you used to ascend. You don't need transport. You don't need to. There's nothing like I want to go and visit God, but I don't have transport. Because the distance between the natural and the spiritual is not geographical, it's in dimensions. It's in dimensions. And that is what God was trying to show with the design of the temple. Outer court, inner court, holy of holies. Have you ever wondered that what separated the holy place from the most holy place was just a curtain? Have you ever wondered? And no priest ever dared to cross that curtain without meeting the requirements of God. Is it not just curtain? Is it not just cutting? One would have just said, not be cutting, not be cutting. Come on, cutting. But that thing was to show you that this thing is a dimension matter. And the difference between being on this side and being on this side is very slim. But you must have known how to practice presence as a priest. A real priest lives perpetually in the presence of God. This is why when Jesus said it is finished, the thing that happened is that the veil tore from top to bottom, indicative of the fact that the limit is no longer there for anybody that wants to travel into God. The limit that God set before, he has removed it. So any priest you find, when you check the dimension of God's presence that he carries, that dimension is not because that's what God wants to give him. That's the dimension he's willing to pursue. You are not hearing me. The amount of glory you carry, the amount of the fragrance of heaven that characterizes your life, the limit is not on God's side. It's not that it is God that has just said, I will give you only small. The reason what you have is like chin chin and puff puff and ojile bread is available is because that is the amount of God you are willing to sacrifice yourself for. The minute you are willing to sacrifice for more, the priest will have access to more. So critical in that infrastructure is the priest. So let's read some scriptures so you see the priest. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 33. Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 8. Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 8. And of Levi he said, let your Thummim and your Urim be with your Holy One, whom you tested at Massah, and with whom you contended at the waters of Meribah. 9. Who says of his father and mother, I have not seen them, nor did he acknowledge his brothers, or know his own children, for they have observed your word and kept your covenant. Verse 10. They shall teach Jacob your judgments, and Israel your law. They shall put incense before you, and a whole burnt sacrifice where? On your altar. I just wanted to show you the articles of the priest. First, the priest should be able to teach Jacob judgments. 2, he should be able to put incense. So you have knowledge of truth. That's the first element of the priest. Knowledge of truth. 2, prayer, which is incense. 3, sacrifice. And where does he put the sacrifice? Where? On the altar. He must know the way of the altar. So it is out of having a prayer life that you build a prayer altar. Are you with me? It is your routine, your disciplines that help you build an altar. I've given you an example here before. If you wake up every morning, I assure you, take a padlock, go and buy a padlock from the market. Then put it on a small stool in your parlor, and then create a pattern around it. I have told you before that spirits are attracted to what? Patterns. That every morning before you leave your house, wake up in the morning and say, oh Paddy, 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 I bow before you, great Paddy. Then take water and gargle and spit on the ground. Do that thing for 21 days. A spirit will take over. So what happens when you make it a practice to be with God at specific times every day? What you are doing in the spirit is that you are raising what? An altar. It is on that altar that you will be required to put your sacrifices. And one of the sacrifices you will put on that altar is prayer. Prayer is a sacrifice. Why? Why is prayer a sacrifice? Because it will cost you your time. You cannot call anything a sacrifice until it is costing you something. It only becomes a sacrifice if it causes you to die in certain areas. It must cost you something. It's a sacrifice.
Lord give you understanding.
Thank you for watching this video. We know you have been blessed. Please share this video to reach others also. Click like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.